Hello, friends and family. I wanted to start with saying thank you while I figure all this out. I know I'm a newbie, trying to figure out when's the best time and day to record, so I give you all the information I can in my best attitude, and also trying to remember to look at the camera and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully, I'll get some better editing skills and all that kind of thing. So thank you for sticking along. I think I've decided that I'm going to change, instead of saying the date in my update, I'm going to make it more evergreen and say like the how many hours or days into treatment I am. So then, someday in the future will make a difference. We could look at that. Also, I think I've also decided that I'm going to record in the mornings, and it's going to cover, because that's when I seem to feel the best. So I'll cover like from today morning to yesterday morning and how things are going and what's going on. Let's see. I took some notes, so I'm not quite a stream of consciousness for you guys. This week, because it's the first week, I'll probably go by hours when I talk about it, but next week I'll start talking about days. All right, so let's get into the details here today. Thanks again for coming along. So how am I tolerating treatment? So I'm undergoing R-EPOCH for um, aggressive large B cell lymphoma. Um, and that treatment started about 40 hours ago. So there's a pre-treatment, we talked about the immunotherapy, and then some pre-meds to help your body tolerate everything, more pre-meds for the chemo, and then the chemo began. Um, I finished the first bag last night, we'll talk about that later. I'm okay, generally, much better than I had been the last time I did chemo as far as how I'm feeling, tolerating. I noticed that when there's more space between meals, then I start to feel a little So two things I've been doing there is stockpiling little snacky snacks. Have a cracker or pretzel, something little to eat to kind of tide me over to the next meal. And they recommend 6 small meals, hummus, apple, whatever. And the other thing I think I mentioned already, which makes this girl happy, is I'm pretty stable and they're happy to let me move around the floor. Can't leave the floor with the chemicals, but so I'm just doing laps around and I've lowered my goal steps to 7,000, and I've been doing that every day, and that also helps my belly and everything feel a little better by just that movement, so that's good. I haven't had to take any extra medication besides what they started with to prevent the nausea. That's up there. But it is available to me if I need it. I found yesterday that I did start to get tired in the mid-afternoon, so once I get home, maybe I'll be taking mid-afternoon naps with Hoff. I gotta, listen to your body and respect the work and healing it's doing, right? I was able to get a sponge bath yesterday and wash my hair. There was hair in the sink, but not too much. Might have just been normal hair, but who knows? Doesn't really matter. It'll leave and it'll come back someday. I'm going to shout out to Gladys, my hairdresser, hairstylist friend, who cut this fabulous haircut. And despite the fact that I did not style it in any way, shape, or form, and despite the fact that they're poisoning me with poison, it still looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, so thank you so much. So I mentioned the bag. The bag was supposed to be 24 hours. So I did not have a great sleep last night. It was supposed to change around midnight. I think you knew that I had started the first chemo bag the midnight before. And there was just too much fluid in the bag, and it took about 27 to 27 and a half hours to complete. And of course the machine alarmed periodically, and they were in and out checking the status and so forth. It's infusing at a very, very slow rate. It's 20 milliliters per hour right now, 20 and a half or something. So it's barely a drip all day long, constantly. But it is still, constant level. So the sleep wasn't great, a little broken up. Finally got the new bag on, 3:30, 4 o'clock we started. There was some discussion about changing the infusion rate to make it a little faster, but the doctor just stopped by and said he didn't really want to do that. He just wants to ride with it. So if all the bags take an extra 3.5 hours, the mathematical Jen says, that's an extra 12 hours of treatment. Yikes. But we're just going to roll with it and see what happens. Right now, it looks like I'm able to probably go home on Sunday. We'll see. And other good news I didn't mention, my labs yesterday looked pretty good. It looks as though I'm drinking enough to flush the kidneys. The kidneys are doing well. There's no sign of distress. And the heart, also no sign of distress. Those were the two main organs they're concerned with. It was interesting today. The doctor, he mentioned it yesterday. I was a little leery. He said it again. This is not my doctor, it's the rounding doctor, and I will be talking to my doctor as well. But he kind of said, if you tolerate the first treatment well, there's not a reason to do the subsequent treatments here. They actually give you like an infusion bag, kind of like Bill had for his dobutamine. And they do the full treatment, the 5 days, 6 days, whatever it turns out to be, at home. Which was interesting. I was a little leery, but he said if you were going to have like a bad systematic reaction, that would occur in the first one. So that was his position, and I'll confirm that. And I'll do my own research, of course. Talk to other doctors I trust. Part of me would be happier being observed. Part of me would like to be home with my family. So we'll see how that all goes. Let's see, is there anything else? I think that was all I had for my updates and how I'm feeling. Pretty good. I mean, in as much, I'm starting to feel like it's chemo. I think there might be some sores in my mouth. I gotta take a closer look. It's a little sensitive. Don't know, the hair's the hair. It's gonna go or it's not gonna go. Probably gonna go, but not. The nurses, I think I said yesterday, are telling me next week, so we'll see how that rides. So I want to shout out to my immediate family, and of course all of you. Sam got a 4.0 this semester, despite all the obstacles of his parents and COVID and working remotely from home. So congratulations. And he has been a super champ helping around the house since he finished school last week. He's been helping Bill and run the house and help Bill with any added caregiving needs that I'm unable to do this week. So thank you so much to Sam. Bob is finishing his semester tomorrow. Then he'll be helping more around the house as well. So that's exciting. And then Hoff has been doing pretty well too. When I talked to him yesterday and this morning, he's been doing just a little bit more of his own self-care. Instead of, hey Jen, can you get me this drink? He went and got his own drink because Jen wasn't there to get it. So maybe this exercise is helping him as well, I hope. So congratulations. And then as I mentioned, thank you again to all of you for your love and support. It does help. So that's all I really have for the update. I wanted to thank you for listening. And I mentioned yesterday that I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about positive attitude. I was going to do a totally separate video, but I'm going to just tack it on the end here. If you want to listen, listen. If you don't, thanks for coming today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay? So the first thing that I wanted to, a lot of people have said it to me in comments, and many people here at the hospital have said it. And so I thought it was worth talking about a little bit. So that's why we're having a conversation. I want to first acknowledge that it's not possible for everyone to have a positive attitude, like chemically, right? There are people that just can't find that attitude, or they might need medication to help equalize chemicals and so forth and so on. So I'm not making any comment or judgment to say everybody needs a positive attitude. That's not my intention. And so that's what I'm acknowledging. I want to make the comment that my attitude is my choice and is part of my armor, my warrior armor to fight this and everything, honestly, right? As a caregiver or as a patient, this is just my methodology, which I'm happy to share with you, but I'm not, if I in any way, stretch or form, saying this is the right methodology or the only methodology. I'm just telling you this is what has worked for me. So I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. So as you guys know, Bill and I have been together quite a while. I think it's over 38 years, or at least we've been impacting one another's lives for over 38 years, I'll say it that way. And I think Bill's always been pretty pragmatic and science-based and very thoughtful and considerate. And I'd like to think that some of those characteristics which I had, maybe not at the top of my list, have rubbed off on me. And I've always had those, but I've also had the feels and the emotions and all those things, certainly as a teenage and adolescent girl. But I think that I've grown as well. And so I want to make the comment that, and this is what I was alluding to, it's not that I'm just totally positive all the time and you shouldn't have the feels. You absolutely have to have the feels. I have what I call a pity party, right? When I get the news, whatever that news is, there's some time where you have to feel what you feel. There's no benefit to you to not have the feeling. You can't always be positive. That's ridiculous, right? There's negative things that are happening to you, from you, whatever. But for me, if I drown in the negative feelings, then I don't have the energy to do the things I need to get done. And so when I say pity party, in November we found out that I had metastatic cancer in at least 2 organs in my abdomen. we did not know the source. And then we found out, a couple days later with the blood work that it was at least 2, and it was crazy wild, a lot. And we still didn't know the source, right? The report said ovary or breast because that's what I've had in the past, but they didn't really know. And then there was like this long period where we didn't know because, we had to schedule stuff, COVID tests and the scheduling of the things and the holidays and everything else. So we went 3 weeks where we did not know what type of cancer this was. And of course, with the information we did have, the things that could be was late stage colorectal, late stage pancreatic, late stage ovarian. I mean, there was tons of others. And when you look at the numbers for those, they are very disheartening. And there were times when there was, there were pity parties. I'm not ready to leave my family. My family's not ready for me to leave them. But the pity party was a day or two. And then I have to move on to what do I need to do to win? And for me, it's to be positive. To believe that I can win helps me to win. And I guess secondarily, the support from my immediate family, from my extended family, from my friends, from the world, really even the staff here, that helps me to win as well, right? Because having been a caregiver as well as a patient over the last 15 years, there's days when you can't, right? Right now I'm feeling pretty good, I think. But there might be days later in the treatment where I'm just at the end. I can't take it another day. I just don't want to do it. But knowing that I have the support, knowing that Bill's going to lend me that bit of extra energy that I need for that day to get over that hump, and all of you, that helps me do it. And I think that the positive attitude that I carry into it helps me win the day. That's my opinion. And that's why I approach it with the positive attitude. But I just want to make it clear that it's not all rainbows and unicorns, right? I'm mostly positive. I would say the entire time that I've been here, I've been pretty positive. And part of that is because we have a plan. We know what we're fighting, and we know how to fight it, and we're doing our very best. And the statistics for this type of cancer, lymphoma, are much higher. This type of lymphoma are much higher than all those other cancers. So to me, I'm already winning when I look at the data. And then, I'm hoping, it's not 100%, but I am hoping that my positive attitude and all of your energy helping me will take me the extra 20%. So I'm one of those 100% cases, right? But that's the only thing we can do, right? Is fight, be positive, and hope. And so that's where I'm at, and that's why I carry this positive attitude. And I guess I carry it as a caregiver as well as a patient. So I can still remember a day after, when Bill was in the hospital. I had been working with them for months. Bill kind of took a turn. He was altered mentally, and physically things were not looking good. And this team of doctors that I've been working with for months with Bill as our partnership to get him healthy and home, they stopped making eye contact with me one day. Now, nobody said anything to me, but I'm a pretty astute caregiver. And I was pretty devastated because I went from having this support team to me by myself. And even Bill, my partner, was unavailable to me. He was there physically, but he was unavailable to discuss like next steps and how we need to attack this and have him really understand what was going on. It was very devastating. And I can still remember I had to go home for some reason that night, and I left the hospital in tears, like totally tears. The guard at the desk reminded me to get my ticket validated, which I'd done hundreds of times and forgot. Asked me if I was okay, and I remember sitting in the parking deck crying for a little while to compose myself because I still had an hour drive home, and I didn't want to drive unsafely. And then I drove home, and the next morning I was in there with my attitude back on, I'll tell you. And I demanded a patient meeting, even though he couldn't attend. I attended as his caregiver, and I was like, we need to figure this out. We're a team, and we're figuring it out. We're not giving up. And that's history now. But I think that my positive attitude helped me win that day, and Bill win that day in some way. And what I'm trying to say is there will be, there are pity parties, and you need to feel the pity parties, but you also need to take the power that positivity has and use it to win the day. So that's kind of where I'm at. And that's it, I think. That's all I wanted to say about being positive. But I, by no means, am saying this is everybody's path. This is just part of my armor and has worked for me over and over again, and I'll continue to employ it because it is working for me. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking around if you did. I love you. Have a good day.